Welcome back to another edition of the Good and Plenty podcast. I am your host, Jeff Goodman, and thanks for joining us. We will have a great show for you again today. None other than the only guy who's won 2 national titles in the last 3 years, and that is Villanova's Jay Wright. He'll join us here in a little bit. But I want to remind you, please subscribe to the podcast. You can do that wherever you listen to your pods, iTunes, Stitcher. You can find us at CLNS Media. You can find me at Goodman Hoops on Twitter. You can also find me at Watch Stadium. And again, give us any feedback you have to make the podcast better. But we're going to make this quick as an intro and get to Jay Wright, Villanova's head coach, and how they've turned around the season this year, and plenty other interesting topics with Villanova coach Jay Wright. Here we go.
The big in Big Wireless provider stands for a lot of things. Big contracts, big bills, and big fees. What Big Wireless doesn't want you to know is there's a way to cut your wireless bill down to just $15 a month. Introducing Mint Mobile, the game-changing company that's taken everything wrong with Big Wireless and made it right. Mint Mobile makes it so easy to cut your bill down to just $15 a month. You can even keep your old number along with all your existing contacts with any Mint Mobile plan. There's no more paying for unlimited data that you'll never use. And if you're not 100% satisfied, Mint Mobile has you covered with their 7-day money-back guarantee. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month, plus free shipping on your Mint Mobile SIM card, go to mintmobile.com/podcast. That's mintmobile.com/podcast. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month and get free shipping on your Mint Mobile SIM card at mintmobile.com/podcast.
Now pleased to welcome on Jay Wright, Villanova head coach, who I've known a long time since he was not quite as hot a commodity as he is right now. Jay, good to bring you on. Always good to talk to you. You know that.
You too, buddy. How you doing?
Everything is good. I want to start on a personal level. I know you're the father of 3 kids. Your older boys are out of college by now, but you've got a daughter who I believe is in college. So I got a 15-year-old daughter, freshman, in the world of social media. Give me your biggest piece of advice, because I need it. As the father of a teenage daughter, give me your main piece of advice here. What is it?
Teenage daughters are the best. It's the opposite of what you tell them when they're younger. When they're younger, you tell them God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you talk less and listen more. But then when you're the parent and they're teenage daughters, you just have to listen. You got to just listen, because they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it from you. You're just dad. They're going through so much. You just got to sit and listen to them.
How involved do you get in the boy part of it? Because that's the hard part for me. Is like, she doesn't want to talk about boys.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said then you got to sit there and listen. Let your wife handle it. When it comes to the stuff with boys, I just sit there and listen and agree with mom. I'd say your mom's right. Just listen to your mom.
No matter what.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to get in the middle of mom and daughter either. Like, that's a hard dynamic to try to play, right? You can't really take sides too much, because then you're setting yourself up.
No, you get in trouble. Yeah, you get in trouble both ways. Your two favorite ladies in the world, and you're in trouble with both of them. You got to be smart there, man. You got to play it smart there, buddy.
All right. Well, good advice on that one. All right. So we'll get into something serious. We'll move all over the place here. Serious, fun, a little bit of everything. But I want to start November 17th. If I told you, after losing to Furman at home, after getting blasted by Michigan at home by, I don't know, 25, 30,
27.
27, you remember. That was ugly. Furman was ugly, maybe uglier in a way. And you sit here now, ranked in the top 20, undefeated in Big East play. Everything's good again on the main line for Jay Wright and Villanova. If I had told you this on November 17th, what would you have said to me?
No, I would definitely say you're crazy. I said, you're crazy. We have so far to go, and which it seemed like at that time, and we still, in a way, we still have a long way to go. But I just think there's a lot. The players have a lot more optimism in terms of moving forward. That was a really interesting time for all of us, coaches, players, and even our Villanova fan base, the Nova Nation. We just had an incredible run for 5 years, and we all knew Michigan was good coming in here. Like we knew we could lose, but you think you're going to win, and you definitely don't think you can get blown out by 27. And even more importantly, you never think that you'd never be in the game.
Right.
It was just, the whole thing was shocking, for the players. You have Phil Booth and Eric Pascal, who've never lost here, and they're your leaders. They're shocked. Everybody else is new, never really played here. They come here thinking, hey, this is going to be easy. They get shocked. And then our fan base, that was the worst loss in the history of the Pavilion. And, no one had ever seen that. And so it was shocking. But I think it was good for all of us. It really was. The players realized, hey, this is what college basketball is all about, and Phil Booth and Eric Pascal realized, hey, we got a lot of work to do as leaders, and we really have to carry this team. And the fan base, I was actually proud of our fan base. No one ever booed, no one ever groaned. They stayed right till the end and cheered till the end. They actually cheered our team coming off the court. I think everybody realized, I think they all realized that, that Michigan team is, and we knew they were good coming in, but they were actually better than we even thought. And I think everybody thought that team is like we were last year. And we're a long way from that. And we've got a lot of work to do, and we got to build this up all over again. And you know what? It's okay. Let's get to work and build this. So it was pretty cool for all of us.
Well, I think, again, listen, if you told any Villanova fan, or you probably, hey, listen, we're going to win 2 national titles. And maybe the year after that, we're going to have a little bit of a rebuild. And after losing 4 of our top 6 early to the NBA, there's going to be a little bit of a rebuild. I think you would have signed up for that pretty quick, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think I really think that's what everybody has done. I think it's pretty cool. I think I've always said this, Villanova is a unique place. It's not the, the Kansas, Carolina, where people, are just crazy. It's all year round. It's the Northeast. People, they got other things they do.
Well, it's Philly, but it's pro sports. It's like Boston, right? It's pro sports.
It is, but there's a difference there too, where they're very, very passionate and loyal to Villanova basketball, their alma mater. It's their team. They're very, very passionate, but they just have I think it is because of the pro sports sound. They have a perspective that's a little different. It's not life or death, It's still like, hey, this is college sports. We love these guys. We love this team. This is kind of our reprieve from pro sports, and we love it, And I really think people, in the Furman game kind of confirmed it. Same thing. We lose to Furman in overtime at home. Our fans stay and they cheer. Like, nobody boos, nobody groans. Like, I watch some games on TV, and we've even played in some arenas where we're on the road, the other team's not playing well, and the fans kind of turn, and they're a little entitled. And our people have been great, Now that we're playing better, they're saying, hey, we're loving the growth of this team. They're not saying, hey, we're going to win another national championship. They're saying, we love the growth of this team. And I'm pretty, you never know how they're going to handle it. And I've been really impressed and really proud of the way everyone's handled it here.
All right, so I'm going to bounce around, like I said. Here's one for you. You're a 31-year-old assistant in Vegas at UNLV. You're married, so I know you can't tell, these crazy stories of being a bachelor in Vegas as an assistant.
No, but I can still tell crazy stories.
I'm sure you can. Give me your best one that you can tell.
Oh, I could tell a million. I really, if I thought anybody cared, I would love to write a book about our 2 years in Vegas, because you think about it, we were we were following Jerry Tarkanian. I mean, Jerry Tarkanian was, when we got the job, Jerry Tarkanian had just taken a job at the San Antonio Spurs. And halfway through our first year, Jerry Tarkanian gets fired with the Spurs, and he comes back to Las Vegas. So now he's in Las Vegas. We're coaching his team, and everybody in Las Vegas wants him back as the coach. It was insane. But one of the things we learned, my wife will kill me for telling this, but you and our boys, we always tell these stories.
All right, go ahead.
What we get to Las Vegas, we're all from the Northeast. We never live, we don't know. But one of the things you find out when you move to Las Vegas is everybody's coming out there all the time for conventions. So you find out there's a lot of people that come to Vegas a lot that you never knew from the back east that they were in Vegas, because you don't know where, they're not home. I don't know where they are. Well, there were certain friends of yours that you realize they're in Vegas all the time. So our first few weeks, we have all these, former Villanova players, Villanova friends from Philly, New York. They're all coming out to Vegas. So now they get out there and they want you, at the time, you could get them into shows, you could get them into restaurants. So we're doing that for a couple of weeks, and guys are coming out, and then high school coaches are coming in. You take them out, spend time with them, and after like the second week, I remember it was Harold Jensen and a bunch of Villanova guys come out they're at work at a convention, and we take them out to dinner. It was the night of the Oscar De La Hoya fight. We take them to a fight. Charles Barkley's out there. We go out to dinner with Charles. My wife's pregnant, and I come home for like the 10th time at like 6:00 in the morning, and I just take a shower, and we go into work. We just go right to work, and I come home, and she gets up out of bed. She looks at me. She's like, "You're joking, right? Like, this is not the way it's going to. You're not telling me this is what it's going to be." Right. Poor girl's like 8 months pregnant, and she's looking at me like, this is not what it's going to be. And that's when it hit me like, you know what, you're right. So now when people came in, I just give them the keys to my car, give them the keys to our apartment, and just say, go ahead. Right. You go out, I'm staying in.
Like, think about it. If you had lasted more than 2 years in Vegas, who knows if your marriage would have lasted,
exactly.
Right?
We actually knew that. Like, after Patty and I, we loved living there. We loved the coaching was great there. They're so passionate. But it was that lifestyle, and we were pregnant with our second, and we just said we can't live here. Like, we can't raise children here. We got to get back east to close to family, and we had made that decision early, like halfway through the second year.
So, when did you step up your suit game? Like, I assume now you do not have to pay for any suits. I assume you have a deal with. I
actually pay for them. I have a guy that makes my suits.
You still have to pay for them. Like, that's ridiculous. How is your agent? Well, you don't really have an agent, do you?
No.
Don't you? Right? You don't really have an agent. So you got to work out. Like, somebody's got to work out a deal here for you. Like, I don't know who.
Well, you know what it is? The convenience is so good for me. Where the guy who makes my suits, he makes them tailor handmade, and he's within 5 minutes of my house, and like he'll come over to my house and go through my suits, in my closet, and say, okay, we need this material, we need this one. The convenience is worth paying for it, because and he can make them. He has all my sizes, and I don't have to do any commercials. I don't do anything.
It just comes in.
Trust me.
Right. It comes in. How many suits would you estimate you have right now in your closet? About?
Not as many as you think, because I get rid of them. Like 2 years, and then I get rid of them.
No.
So they're all.
You give them to like Brett Gunning when you get rid of them?
No, but I do have guys that are my size that know, and all you. On the inside, it says tailor made for Jay Wright. So we just got to take out the label, and then I do have guys that are my size that I you don't want guys walk around wearing a suit with your name on them in the inside.
I don't think they care.
So I don't have as many as people would think. I don't.
Like, now I think it's okay to walk around with the fact that, it says, tailor made for Jay. A few years ago, like back, 5-6 years ago, they may not have wanted that on there when you were a little bit, after After that year in 2011-12, maybe not.
That's the way it goes in coaches. That's the way it goes in coaching, man. You're exactly right. Were
you worried, like after that year, and you had a couple years, like first 3 years in Villanova, I think you went to like 3 NITs, and again, That was like getting it going, obviously. But after that 2011-12 year, I remember seeing you actually that year at the Garden after a game, and we talked for a while. And you I think you had a pretty good idea at that point, like, all right, we made a few mistakes here, and we got to get this thing back on track with Villanova type guys. But were you worried at all of like, hey, I'm in trouble here because I'm not sure I'm going to keep this job long term? Like coaches, and you had been there a while, and obviously everybody loves you. But if you're not winning at a high level, whether they love you or not as a person, a lot of times that doesn't matter.
Definitely. That's something that all of us in coaching understand and we accept. It's funny, you and I were talking, our friend Dana O'Neill was just here, and you and I were talking about, but after our third year, I'll never forget, I can remember exactly the diner we went to, the Villanova diner in October, going into our fourth year, and she said to me, I got to write this article, right? And I'm like, yep, I know you got to write it. She's like, I'm sorry I have to do this, but I have to. She was our beat writer for the Philadelphia Daily News. And she said, I'm sorry I have to do this, but I have to do it. I said, I know. She's like, I got to write. If you don't win this year, you're fired. I said, I get it. So we had that going into.
That's like your first big job after coming from Hampshire. To understand that at that stage is rare because a lot of guys, let's face it, Jay, a lot of guys, you can have that type of relationship with a writer, but guys still, because I've been through that with plenty of people, and some get it and others don't. Others are thin-skinned and don't understand it, and so that's pretty impressive after 3 years.
Well, I mean, her and I still joke about it. It's one of our favorite things because, but like we know when you sign up for this. I mean, you're at Villanova, and like you just said, we went to NIT 3 years in a row, and we had a big time recruiting class in our second year. There was high expectations, and we just hadn't gotten it done yet. And at that time, I wasn't sure we would, but I felt good about how we were doing it, And then our fourth year, we had a great year. We went to the Sweet 16. But then, as you're talking about, I think that was a 12 season or 11 season. We went 13-19, and it wasn't when you and I. That was the season when you and I talked, and I even think I remember the game we talked about. It was after we lost to South Florida in the Big East tournament, and so we knew we didn't even go to the NIT that year, and it wasn't that year that I was worried about us losing our job, but it was where our program was going. It was like, okay, we just went 13-19, but this might last for a couple years, and then you're going to be done, because you just don't pay the people you pay us. You don't pay the way they pay us, and then you lose for 3 years. It's the business. So I was concerned, but at that point we made the decision, if we're going to go down, let's go down our way, with the kind of guys that we want to build with. And and we knew we had Ryan Archidiakono coming in and Daniel Chefu, and we said, let's make sure we just keep getting guys like that. And that next year, we had James Bell was coming back as a captain. We knew what kind of person he was. He'd be a great leader, and that kind of stuff. We made Ryan Archidiakono as a freshman captain,
That's
James
amazing.
Bell as a senior, and we kind of started to rebuild our culture.
Yeah, Archie, I mean, you've said it numerous times, like Archie was kind of a key along with Chefu in terms of kind of getting the program back to where it was. And all the guys behind him will say that.
Yep, those two started as freshmen. Those two, it's interesting. You don't get this a lot in the Northeast, but those two both grew up in this area, Arch longer than Daniel, but they grew up watching Villanova basketball, watching Randy Foye, Alan Ray, Kyle Lowry, Curtis Sumter, Jason Frazier. So they were coming to Villanova already knowing what the program was about and how we played. Kind of like I've always compared it to a kid growing up in Alabama that plays football.
Yeah.
He's going to Alabama. He's watched it his whole life. He knows what it is before he gets there. You don't get that a lot in the Northeast. And both of those guys came in that way, and they both started as freshmen, not because I wanted to start them because they were freshmen, is because they just got it right away. And that really helped us. James Bell being a senior that year helped us too. We actually did another little thing that year. Tony Chenault, who was a Philly kid, left. He transferred from Wake Forest because Ryan Archidiakono, was senior in high school, didn't play. And we didn't know if he had a bad back. We didn't know if he was going to be able to play or not. And he transferred. He's a Philly kid. Again, grew up watching Villanova. Transferred from Wake Forest knowing that he might not start his junior and senior year. He came in and was really a great impact in those years when we were getting it turned around.
That's cool. That's cool. So you got a freshman now who's kind of, I don't know. I mean, listen, Jahvon Quinerly, I always say coaches are not trying to lose games. You guys are trying to win basketball games. So if Jahvon Quinerly is able to go out and play at a high level, you're going to play him. Same thing I say when people kill Roy Williams for not playing Nasir Little enough, right? Everybody's like, well, he's going to be a lottery pick. How do you not play Nasir Little? Well, maybe there's certain things that we don't see in practice that Nasir Little isn't doing, that Jahvon Quinerly isn't doing. It could be effort. It could be from a mental standpoint of maybe not being able to pick things up, because when you're evaluating kids in the summer, it's very different. You don't get to see them in a system. And again, some kids are further along than others in terms of maybe how they defend or how they run a team or whatever the case. And Quinerly's kind of been, I don't want to say crucified, because I don't think he's been crucified, but people have wondered, well, why aren't you playing him more? What is it about him that he can't get on the court, especially when you guys were struggling? He's played a little bit more for a stretch. You played him about double-digit minutes, and then again, the last couple of games, he's played 3-4 minutes a game. What can you tell us about kind of his development and what what the reason is that he wasn't able to get in the court early and still struggling to do it?
Well, what you said earlier is true. Like you never know how a kid is going to respond when he gets to this level, and you try. Like we really spend a lot of our recruiting time trying to evaluate how a kid's going to fit into our system. And in Jahvon's case, actually, it's really unique. He knew that this was going to be really difficult for him here. And his parents and his high school coach knew this was going to be a difficult challenge. So on the inside, this has not been difficult to deal with at all. And I get it from the outside because you got a McDonald's All-American. Even here at Villanova, if there are people yelling from the stands, put in JQ, we want to see Jelly Fam, and then when we put them in, they go crazy. The fans go crazy for them. But on the inside of our team and our program, even when he had that little slip up when he answered someone's question on social media, said, this is why this was my second choice, it was not that big of a deal on the inside because everybody knew, like, he picked this knowing it was going to be difficult. He was struggling with just the attention to detail. Like he's a great street ball player. Just let him go,
up and
let
down,
him handle, let him create. He's great, which is going to be really valuable for him at this level eventually because he's incredibly creative and crafty. But the attention to detail every day, picking up the concepts, being accountable to his teammates on every possession, he's just struggled with it. But he worked really hard at it. It wasn't like he was coming in saying this. And then also physically, he's really slight. Physically he was getting banged around. Like he actually he got hit and got a deep bruise before the Quinnipiac game. Couldn't play. He was hurt. And whereas, it was a bruise, but, he just never got hit like that before.
Sure.
So all those little things he was struggling with, but I'm really proud of how he's handling it. And actually, he's at a point now where we just played Butler. The 3 minutes he played in Butler game were maybe the best 3 minutes he's played all year, where he came in, he was intense, he was physical, he was accountable on every play. And he's doing that more and more in practice. So to your point, there's two parts of it. There's you want to get him on the floor and you want to develop him, but you also want to make sure he's held accountable for all of the details that everybody else on the team is, and that you teach him to be that kind of player so that when he does get on the floor, he's really effective. So he's going through a really it's tough on him, but I really admire how he's handling it. I think it's going to really pay off for him in the long run.
All right, so NBA stuff. I know you've been asked this a million times, but like I don't see you ever leaving in college for another college job. It's kind of like Brad Stevens when he was at Butler. I felt like there's no way Brad's going anywhere else in college. He's a Butler guy. I feel like you're a Villanova guy. But I also have always kind of felt like if the right NBA job opened up, your personality, the way you deal with people, the way you deal with egos, that you'd be an ideal guy. And I know you're an NBA fan as well, that you like the NBA game. And I'm sure you're watching it more this year than ever because you got so many dudes in there now from Nova. You know, never say never, but, you know, is that probably the only thing you would look at this point if the right NBA job came along that it would intrigue you, especially at this point in your life, or no?
You described that correctly. First of all, you get into a school like this and you just love it so much, and you know, we've been here 18 years. My wife Patty's an alum, and you're so much a part of this fabric. If you just feel like if you went to any other school, you'd be a traitor. You know, you just couldn't do it. You can't, and you wouldn't enjoy it. You know, there's a lot of great jobs out there, but you would feel, you know,
when you don't want to be in a fishbowl, Jay, that's not you either. Like you don't.
That's true too.
People.
It's pretty cool.
You like your life, right? You like your life. You like not being bothered everywhere you go. Like if you won 2 national titles at some of those jobs you had mentioned earlier, it would be like you and Patty couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, you're right. That is one of the great things about the Villanova job here in Philly. Like everybody respects the program and they follow it, but they don't. You know, the Eagles, the Sixers, the Phillies, they're bigger, and you can kind of still be a fan. It's pretty cool. But to your earlier question, I just love it. I just love my job, you know, and I love the NBA. I do. And you said following it, I love it, and I'm having the opportunity to coach with Pop, you know, and with the USA team. I get to work with those guys. Like last summer, we had an incredible experience bringing in the Olympic team and the guys that would be possibly on the team into Las Vegas. And Pop, myself, and Mark Few coached them, and we with Pop's assistants. And the first day we're like, all right, you know, what are we going to do with these guys? You know, we don't want to kill them, and do we go too hard? And we start practicing. These guys are killing each other.
I was there. Yeah.
Yeah, remember? And we're like, all right, we got to shut this down. They didn't want to stop. So then, you know, the next day we go to, you know, Durant, Westbrook, we're like, all right, tomorrow, what do you want to do? We don't want to go too hard. They're like, no, we're here. Let's go. I mean, coaching those guys was so awesome to see how hard they work and, you know, their level of talent. And so I would love that, but you'd have to leave this job, you know, and I just don't want to leave here and give this up to do it.
You know what Brad told me? The greatest thing, I'm sure you've talked to Brad about this, but he goes, I come home for practice. He goes, my phone doesn't ring. Like nobody calls me. He goes, it's great in a way, but it almost sucks in a way. He's like, I'm looking for people to talk to. Like there's no recruiting, none of that.
His wife told my wife that. I wish you had never told her. Said that we were at some event together. It might have been the Hall of Fame, and they were talking, and Patty said that to me, that, you know, he doesn't even get any phone calls. Like, no, he's like, you're on the phone all night. You're never off that phone. And it is so true.
Is it easier or harder now that the kids are all out of the house? You know, you think like, all right, now it's time for, you know, the marriage to kind of be the marriage again, right?
It does kind of help. It does. Yeah. It is kind of cool. It's you know, a lot of things Patty and I can do together now that she was maybe at one of our kids' games or something, and I was at our game. It's a different time that makes it even more enjoyable coaching.
Who do you miss the most from the old Big East? The new Big East is done unbelievable, way better than we all thought. But like Calhoun, Pitino, Boeheim, like I miss the old. I'm not gonna lie to you. I miss the old Big East because of the.
Yeah, so do I. So do I. Yeah, I used to love. It's funny. We go to our Big East meetings in Ponte Vedra, which is an awesome place, and we still go there. And I remember as an assistant, Rolly Massimino being down in Ponte Vedra with Louis Carnesecca and Pitino and all those guys and coming back with stories. And, me thinking like, wow, I can't even picture these guys hanging out together. And then, when we first started here back in 2001, we're down in Ponte Vedra and it's Pitino and Boeheim and Calhoun. Seth Greenberg was a coach then in the league, and Mike Trinkisi's the commissioner, and I remember Craig Esherick was at Georgetown, and I loved those meetings where Boeheim, would dictate where we're going to go play golf, where we're going to go eat dinner. I was like the young boys that, come on, J-Boy, we're going over to Sawgrass play. Now I'm in those meetings. I'm the old guy. I'm sitting there. Everybody's looking at me. Back then, Pitino and Calhoun and Boeheim, they would argue. Right? Yeah. It was interesting. And playing one of the great. You had to ask Seth Greenberg. One of the great golf stories was me and. No, it was me and Gino against Seth and Calhoun at the Big East meeting.
Against Calhoun? Who would do
it? Was yes.
That?
It was a class, and Boeheim set it up that way. Boeheim purposely put us together. It was a classic.
Who won? Do you remember?
I remember exactly what happened. We won, and we were coming down the 18th at TPC, and I took out my driver. And Gino grabbed me and said, put that back in your bag and take an iron, because all we have to do is not put it in the water, and we're winning this. And I was like, holy shit, this dude wants this bad.
Oh, Gino, I got a great story I'll tell you quickly before I let you go on the podcast. So we are when I was working at ESPN a few years ago, the year Calhoun was there, they have a meeting before the year in like November, early November, maybe late October, when everybody comes in, producers, talent, you name it, everybody's in there, right?
Right.
And they kind of have a special guest every year, surprise guest. And I'm sitting at the same table. Calhoun's right behind me. And in comes none other than Gino. So a lot of people in the room don't understand that Gino and Calhoun are not exactly boys, okay? So I look back right away, and the look on Calhoun's face was worth it. You know what he did next, Jay? You know what he did? Got up and he went to the bathroom.
Get out of here.
Oh, it was awesome.
He's the best, man. He's the best.
And that, again, those are the things that, I love. Because, I know Bill Self and Calipari are coaching against each other tomorrow, Saturday. And I know there's no love there. And they'll the handshake line afterwards. They'll both smile before the game. And I would love them, a mic on those, pregame, whatever you say to the other coach. Pitino Calipari's, in the past, and Pearl Calipari. I mean, there's a lot of Calipari ones, obviously, but those are the things.
And as you know, when it's over, like you look at Calipari and John Chaney now, they're literally boys, but the competitiveness when you're in it is off the charts. I don't know if people just understand how competitive all of us are, and probably the weakness in we have a lot of weaknesses, but the weaknesses in our personalities is overly competitive. And when you get out of it, you lose that, and then you can become a normal human being. And probably all those guys will really like each other when they're done. But when you're in it, it's the competitiveness just takes over.
When are we getting in the Hall of Fame, by the way? Everybody gets in now while they're coaching still. This should be soon. I mean, what will that mean for you? Because you're going to get there now. And it's funny because 3-4 years ago, obviously there was no talk of it. And now it's like how quickly things can change, right?
It is amazing. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I never thought of it. I never heard anybody say it. It wasn't even thought of. And then after last year, all of a sudden everybody asks me all the time. So I don't really know what to say about it, to be honest. I don't know I never thought of it. You know, when people say, like, is it a dream come true? No. I never thought of it. I love going up there. I love meeting all the other guys. Like, I love going to that event when guys get in. I went when Charles Barkley went in. I went when Coach Brown got in. I went when George Raveling got in. I like going when other people get in. That's what I like. Yeah.
No, that's how I am too. I missed the one. That had to be unbelievable when Barkley got in. Barkley still, like, to me, is just like the coolest dude ever. And
he is.
You know him a lot better than I do. But, like, that guy, like, I'll text him. And, like, he has no reason to text me back, but he'll, like, text me back right away. Just a good dude. He loves
people, man.
Yeah,
he really loves. The value to him in life is not money. Like, he doesn't care about money. I could tell you stories.
You'll understand that if you watch him at the blackjack table, right?
Exactly. Things he has done when he was here in Philly, things he has done that no one knows for people, and not just charity, just regular people that he met, is incredible. He really values people and treating people well. And I think he looks at his celebrity as an opportunity to just be kind to people. It's pretty cool. Well, listen, I appreciate you jumping on. 15-4, 6-0 in the league. You've won 7 straight. You're back from the dead. You've actually you were dead and buried after the Furman, the Michigan Furman, double dip there, and you have. It's fragile, Jeffrey. We know it, man. It is fragile, brother. It could go at any time. It is. Well, listen. Good luck the rest of the way, and I will see you somewhere along the line, I'm sure. Thanks, buddy. Always good talking to you, man. You too, Jeff. Take care, man. Take care.
Hey, sports fans. I'm Coach Nick of the B-Ball Breakdown podcast on the CLNS Media Network. I break down the NBA from a coach's perspective and have some of the best basketball minds join me weekly to discuss the latest NBA news and what's truly going on the court. Subscribe to the B-Ball Breakdown podcast wherever you get your podcasts or find us on clnsmedia.com. It's a great conversation. You in?